proud moment for us to have Lieutenant General Kanwal Jeet Singh Dhillon, PVSM, UYSM, YSM, VSM with us today. Lieutenant General Kanwal Jeet Singh Dhillon, recipient of Param Vishisht Seva Medal, Uttam Yudh Seva Medal, Yudh Seva Medal, Vishisht Seva Medal, was commissioned into the 4th Battalion of the Rajputana Rifles in December 1983. During his service spanning almost about 4 decades, he held various appointments in combat zones and senior administrative capacity in the Indian Army. He had the distinction of commanding the Chinar Corps, responsible for military operations on the line of control and within the Kashmir Valley during the most challenging environment of Pulwama blast, Balakot airstrikes, and abrogation of the Article 370 and 35A. His peace initiatives in Kashmir Valley, like Operation Ma, Talim-e-Se Tarakki, Hamsaya Hai Hum, Harriet Patrol, Super 30 and Super 50, ensured more than 50 young Kashmiri boys who had joined terrorism returned home willingly and weaned away young Kashmiri boys from terrorism and drugs and brought them into the national mainstream. Post his superannuation, he authored his first book of his life, a national bestseller already, Kitne Ghazi Aaye, Kitne Ghazi Gaye. He is a motivational speaker and a leadership guide at various universities, colleges, schools, and Josh Talks. He is presently the chairperson, Board of Governors of Indian Institute of Technology, Mandi, Himachal Pradesh, appointed by the Honorable President of India. May we have the AV please for Sir? Please put your hands together to welcome Lieutenant General Kanwal Jeet Singh Dhillon, PVSM, UYSM, YSM, VSM. And we are going to have an interactive session in this scenario. And for this, I would like to request Mr. Rohit Shannal, Manager Business Development, JIS Group, to come over to the dais and take over this session. So firstly, we would like to felicitate Sir. Okay, there is going to be an interactive session with Rohit Shannal. He is going to conduct this session with Sir. So you all will be enjoying this session very much. He is from the Indian Army, our national pride. A big round of applause, please, for Sir on stage.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome you, sir, to the induction program.
Can we have the lights on, please, so that we can see?
Can we have the lights on, please, for the students, so we can see the students on stage? Can the lights be switched on, please?
Yeah,
better. Thank you. So, sir, I leave the stage open to you, sir. Please share about your experience about the Indian Army and inspire these students out here who are the newcomers, new freshers for our institute in Narula Institute of Technology.
Thank you. Ma'am, thanks a lot for your very kind introduction. And so that we have a very good session, the stage will be thrown open for question answers from the students after I finish my talk. And you can ask any question to me, and I will try and answer as best I could. As ma'am said, I was in Kashmir most of my career out of 40 years. And of course, I served all over the country. I picked up two words from the talks today. Ma'am talked about how is the Josh. And as we all know, there's a very famous Hindi movie, Uri, in which this dialogue is there. And this dialogue has a very important place in my life. When on 14th of February 2019, Pulwama ID blast happened, in which we lost 40 CRPF soldiers, Pakistan trolls and handlers had started trolling Indians and India. How is the Jash? Because that ID blast was carried by a Pakistani terrorist organization called Jaish-e-Mohammed. So instead of how is the Josh, they started trolling all over the media, social media, how is the Jash? Indian Army, the security forces, Jammu Kashmir police, the intelligence agencies, within 100 hours, killed those people who had carried out Pulwama ID blast. And we got back, how is the Josh? This is what your aim, your mission can do to the morale of a nation. Second point, the last speaker said, you must create history after 30 years. I am reminded of a meeting before abrogation of Article 370 on 5th of August 2019. On 27th June 2019, early morning, 7 o'clock, I had a meeting with Mr. Amit Shah, the Home Minister, one-on-one meeting, in which all the discussions took place. If we take a big step, what will happen in Kashmir? Since I was responsible for the line of control and whole of Kashmir, the military operations. And what will Pakistan do? What can happen if there is an uprising, if there is a mass movement or whatever? After all that was discussed, so the Home Minister asked me a pointed question. He says, who is responsible? So my answer was, sir, nothing will go wrong, and the whole of Team Security Forces will make sure peace remains there in Kashmir. And that is when I said one thing. I told the Home Minister, I said, sir, agar itihas likhna hai, to kisi na kisi ko to itihas banana padega. If you have to write history, you have to make history. And this dialogue of mine was carried in the movie Article 370, where a person who was playing my role is telling the same thing to the Prime Minister. That's a separate issue altogether. Now you are young students, you have come to this college, you have come to this institute, which is a prestigious institute, and maybe your dream so far you have achieved, and you have dreams for future. I must caution you here, what has got you here will not get you there. Your efforts of reaching here were good enough, but they may not be best enough to reach there on the top. So keep preparing, keep putting in the efforts, keep doing your bit. There's a word, shiddat se. Do whatever you do with shiddat se. Jo bhi kuch karna hai, wo shiddat se karna hai. I was talking to students of Gujarat University, a girl, I think, of a postgraduate course. She got up and asked me. She said, sir, what are the challenges in army as a job? Army का जो job है, उसमें challenges क्या हैं? My reply was, army एक job नहीं है, army मोहब्बत है. आर्मी जॉब नहीं है, आर्मी मोहब्बत है, और मोहब्बत में चैलेंजेस नहीं होते, मोहब्बत में अफसाने होते हैं. People will tell your stories, people will tell your afsanas, people will talk your legends. if you are in love with the job which you are doing, अगर आपको अपने काम से मोहब्बत है, आपको अपने सब्जेक्ट से मोहब्बत है, आपको अपनी यूनिवर्सिटी से मोहब्बत है, आपको अपने इंस्टीट्यूट से मोहब्बत है, आपको अपने देश से मोहब्बत है, तो आपके अफसाने गाए जाएंगे 30 साल बाद. You can be a proud Indian. At the same time, you can be a proud Punjabi, Gujarati, Bengali, Maharashtrian, proud Muslim, proud Sikh, proud Hindu, proud Buddhist. You can be all of this, but most important is to be a proud Indian. Rest everything falls within the gambit. You cannot be a proud Indian if you are not a proud Punjabi or a Bengali or a Maharashtrian. You cannot be a proud Indian if you are not a proud Hindu, Sikh, Muslim or any other faith. So you must understand your entity is nation, Desh, Tiranga. As a soldier, nation first is the unwritten bond between me and the state. मैंने साइन किया है कि जहां पर भी मुझे हुक्म मिलेगा, पानी के रास्ते, हवा के रास्ते, जमीन के रास्ते जाऊंगा और लड़ूंगा, चाहे उसमें मेरी जान चली जाए. Now that's my bond, that is my mohabbat. Other day someone asked me, please don't mind, I speak extempore, I don't have a script. Other day someone asked me, sir, do you celebrate Valentine's Day? I said, yes. And he was quite taken aback. I said, my nation is my Valentine. मुझे अपने देश से मोहब्बत है. I celebrate each and everything about my nation. I celebrate its successes. Ma'am was talking about Chandrayaan, ISRO, RISET 1, RISET 2. SCI technology. I am very aware of all these things because I am heading the space aspects of Indian Army. So I am proud of ISRO. I am proud of the scientists of ISRO. I am proud of the faculty of NIT. I am proud of students of NIT because you are going to be the citizens of this nation tomorrow who will make this nation proud. So मेरा वैलेंटाइन है, बिल्कुल है. अभी वो कवि श्री पढ़ रहे थे कविता, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा. पर कोई बात नहीं, रोशनी ने नहीं रोशनी दिया, ठीक बात है. You make sure you get a रोशनी. So nation first is the most important thing. A word about the faculty. Teachers, professors, आपके मार्गदर्शक, आपके parents. What is a teacher? कुम्हार, the potter जो बर्तन बनाता है, जो खिलौने बनाता है मिट्टी के, जो मूर्ति भी बनाता है. मिट्टी तो मिट्टी है. मिट्टी सड़क पे पड़ी रहेगी, फुटपाथ पे पड़ी रहेगी, पांव तले रहेगी. वो जो कुम्हार है, वो जब उसको हाथ लगाता है तो मिट्टी एक बच्चे के लिए खुशी का कारण बन के खिलौना बन जाती है. वही मिट्टी एक भगवान की मूर्ति बन जाती है, मंदिरों में लग जाती है, लोग पूजा करते हैं. तो वो जो कुम्हार है, वो जो फैकल्टी है, वो टीचर है, जो प्रोफेसर है, ही इज द वन हु मोल्ड्स यू. You sitting here today, the young students, आप एक रॉ मटेरियल हो. आपको क्या शेप मिलेगी आफ्टर दिस 4 years for 2 years as the case may be, वो डिपेंड करता है कि आपका प्रोफेसर, आपका फैकल्टी, आपका टीचर, आपका गुरु, वो कैसे आपको हैंडल करता है. We all have heard that गुरु गोविंद दोनों खड़े काके लागू पाए. अपने गुरु के बलिहारे जाओ. And I'm so proud, even today, after more than 50, 55, 60 years, I remember Miss Saroj Dutt, who was my teacher in school. I remember Mr. Manohar Lal Kakkad. I wrote about him in my first book. His niece sends me a message. Today morning also I got a message from niece of Mr. Manohar Lal Kakkad, who was my school teacher in 1973. After 50 years, my teacher's niece is in touch with me. What does it mean? It means he was a good teacher, and I may not have been a good student, but I was a good person who respected his teacher. So बहुत जरूरी है ये. Aim. Indian Army has something called principles of war. The first principle of war is selection of aim, maintenance of aim. अपना एक aim चुनिए, जिंदगी में करना क्या है. The previous speaker was saying, what is your aim? The student said, sir, I want to go to USA. And he's becoming a monkey for that. That's not the aim. Aim is something like what Guru Gobind Singh Ji said. देह सेवा वर मोहे है, and the one puncti in that is निश्चय कर अपनी जीत करूं. I have to be determined to win. The aim is not complete unless you have the determination following it. Select an aim, don't dream. A lot of people say, it's my dream to do this. Dreams may not come true. Dreams have a maybe attached to it. Aim is, I will achieve this aim. So please, select your aims and maintain your aims. बहुत जरूरी है. Dreams are okay. As a youngster, you can dream, but when you come to a place where your aim or your dreams matter to others, or they matter to the nation, then don't dream. Then be realistic. And your family sport, lot was said, even कविता में भी उन्होंने बोला कि घर में छोड़ कर आया हूँ. Family sport is very important. And when I say family, it's not only parents, mothers, wives, sister, brother. Family means your colleagues. Family means your teachers. Family means your faculty. Family means the administration staff in your college. Very important aspect of life. If the administration staff doesn't come for one day, the college won't work. We must respect each and every person who is part of a family. And Indian Army has a different concept of family. We have family at home and we have family in the unit. Today I know people who are with me serving in 1983. I had known their grandparents, I know their grandchildren today. So I know 5 generations of people who served with me. How many of us know 5 generations even of our relatives? So that is the concept of family. Just to give you an example, how a strong family, they make brave soldiers. My wife, married for 37 years plus, I was not there. A lot of people, a lot of you would be talking about work-life balance. A lot of you would have been told about work-life balance. कि क्या करें, रात को 9 बजे वापस आते हैं, कोई life नहीं है, जिंदगी नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है. I was not there when our son was born. I was not there with my wife when our daughter was born. I was not there with my wife when the children, both of them went to school. I was not there when they both finished their school. I was not there when they both took admission in the professional colleges, and I was not there when they both graduated from the professional colleges. Now, where is my work-life balance? My wife has seen death news of mine twice on the television. Once when she was 8 months pregnant. She didn't complain of work-life balance. What she did? Second time when she was a colonel's wife, I was a colonel in Kashmir. At 11 in the night, she reads the ticker on the TV, Colonel KJ Singh killed in J&K. And she had 2 children. One was about 4 years old daughter and about 9 years old son. And she was staying in an area place called Rani Khet. Chubatia is the place where the units there was there, where all the families were there. Even the Jawans, JCOs, officers, and she was staying in that place. The whole unit was in Kashmir. Now, 11 in the night, the whole night with 2 kids in her lap, she is thinking, what will I do? How will I handle life now? How is future going to be? She did not cry. Next morning, 6 o'clock, she knew the families, the Jawan's wives, the officer's wives, the JCO's wives would now come home to console her, to meet her, and she is a commanding officer's wife. Commanding officer or CO Saab in the army is a godfather figure. Commanding officer के हुक्म पे 800 जवान जान देने को तैयार हैं. So I was holding the appointment of commanding officer, and she is commanding officer's wife. She gets up at 6 in the morning, washes her face, combs her hair, puts on a reasonably decent dress, and now she is ready to face the guests or the ladies who would come home. Now, why did she do this? Why did she wash her face? Why did she comb her hair? Why did she change? Because as commanding officer's wife, she did not want to be seen as a shattered woman. She wanted to be seen as a woman whose husband is a commanding officer and he is strong, she is strong. That is a sport the families give. That is a sport the families will give to you. To do your job, shiddat se. Never ever feel that no, somebody is not supporting you. Everyone is supporting you. In army, we have something called Naam Namak Nishan. We live and die for the name, Narula Institute of Technologies. We live and die for the namak. जिसका नमक खाया है अपने हिंदुस्तान में है, जिसका नमक खाया है उसके साथ विश्वासघात नहीं कर सकता. अगर फौज का नमक खाया है तो फौज के साथ नहीं, इंडिया का नमक खाया है इंडिया के साथ नहीं, NIT के नमक खाया है NIT के साथ नहीं. Never speak ill of the organization. And Nishan, the flag. Army carries their nishans to the battle. You would have seen a lot of movies where the nishan is falling because the chap has got hit. Somebody else comes and holds the nishan. Nishan, in other terms, for you, it could be the name of the organization you are working for. Never let down the name of the organization you work for. Yesterday in the hotel, I met a lady, Sahara is her name, and she very politely walks up to me, speaks to me, sir, anything I can do? I said, no, ma'am, thank you very much. And why did she walk up to me? There are so many guests in the hotel. Because she had worked for the JIS before joining Hayat. That is the respect you have for the organization you ever worked for. That is the respect you have for the family you ever worked for. ये आपको एक उम्दा इंसान बनाते हैं. इंसान सब हैं. Such qualities make you better people. If you go out and speak good about your family, good about your school, good about your college, people would say, he has the ownership. Now, what is ownership? Ownership is owning something. When you own a scooter or a car which costs about 1 lakh or 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs, you're so careful, isko yahan scratch nahi lag jaye, isko wahan nahi lag jaye. But when you are in the institute, which means crores, you are not bothered whether the chair के आगे कट लग रहा है नहीं लग रहा, whether कहीं उसको टूट फूट हो रही है नहीं हो रही है, कोई लाइट काम कर रही है नहीं कर रही है. Because you are a transient, you don't own this ownership. If you own an organization which you work for, then you will respect that organization. I'll give you a small example. A few days ago, I ordered a TV from Amazon. The TV came, there were some issues, installation was delaying and all those things. Anyway, when it went beyond a particular level, I tweeted about it. I said, Amazon has provided me this TV, but I'm having these problems. Anyway, like always, they sent a lot of messages, a lot of emails, a lot of calls, this, that. Nothing happened. Ultimately, Lieutenant Colonel Ratul Kapoor served with me when I was in Kashmir as a corps commander. He was a lieutenant colonel. Had interaction once or twice. He sends me a message. He says, sir, please give me the order details. And I will do something. And I said, no, yaar, rendo. He said, no, sir, now I work with Amazon. After leaving the army, I am now working with Amazon. I said, but not a job. Somebody must be handling it. You know what he says? He says, sir, फौज ने सिखाया है, जिस organization में हो, उस organization को own करो. Now that I am working for Amazon, it may not be my job, but I will make sure that service provided by Amazon is of top quality. And within next 12 hours, he had the problem sorted out. Any other employee in Amazon could have also done it. But it took a retired Fauji who took it on himself, कि नहीं ये मेरी जिम्मेवारी है. I have to do it. Now coming to जिम्मेदारी, the three more important words after नाम नमक निशान are वफादारी, ईमानदारी, जिम्मेदारी. Loyalty, integrity, responsibility. These three words drive a Fauji. In fact, my next book, the title is Wafadari, Imandari, Zimmedari. So, and the concept is the military leadership ethos, how they are relevant in the civil world or in the corporate world. So, Wafadari, Imandari, Zimmedari are omnipresent. Lieutenant Colonel Ratul Kapoor just proved it for me. Okay, it works. And like you have come to this college and you have a great future ahead, failures will happen. Challenges will come. Ups and downs will happen. Somebody was talking about the GIS group, 25 years journey. There have been ups, there have been downs. It will happen. I will close by just one share, क्योंकि वो शायर जी ने बहुत अच्छे से माहौल बना दिया था. And then we can have the question answers. Please keep your questions ready. and you can ask anything. Failure is important. Failure is a must thing in the life. Don't be scared of failure. But fail होने के बाद कितनी जल्दी अपने आप को इकट्ठा करते हो, that is important. टूटना बुरी बात नहीं, टूटना बुरी बात नहीं, टूटकर गिरना भी बुरी बात नहीं. टूटकर जुड़ना हिम्मत है और जुड़कर उड़ना हिम्मत है. So thank you very much, and open to questions. Please ask any questions. Feel free to ask anything other than religion and politics. Rest everything is okay.
Thank you, sir. I have a question of my own. Just before we hand it over to the audience, actually I have a lot of questions, but I'll start off with one for now. Qualities a leader should possess. That's the first part of the question.
Right,
qualities a leader should possess. And the second part of the question is, what differentiates a leader to a manager or a CEO or an owner of a company? How does it differentiate out there? What's the difference?
Okay. The question is, qualities a leader should possess. There are a lot of theories on this, leadership theories. And, when I was writing this book, I went through these leadership theories and I realized they all must have been taught to me in NDA or IMA or in my service career. And I didn't remember even a single theory's name. I must have slept through them. But point I realized was all the theories which there, all the ingredients, somewhere or other in my life I have followed it. So leadership, a leader is someone whom you can look up to. Leader should be a very courageous, bold, intuitive person, information, intelligence, educated. All those qualities are there. All those qualities are there even in the managers. But what differentiates leaders from managers is a leader is a person who has humane touch. Because leaders command men. Managers do work. I'll differentiate. As a leader, I was a second lieutenant in the army, and on my order, like if I was a second lieutenant, there were about 20 people under me. When I became a CO, there were 800 people under me. When I was a corps commander in Kashmir, there were 1.5 lakh people under me, who would lay down their lives on my orders, on my wisdom. So that is very important. I have to be responsible enough as a leader as to what order I give, what plan I make. Today morning someone sent me an Instagram message from New Zealand. He says, sir, I see your podcast, I follow you on Twitter, I follow you here, there. He says, sir, I am an improved version of myself ever since I started following you. And he writes one line. He says, sir, I am definitely a better father now. The way I treat my children. It gave me so much of happiness. If one person in the world has got impacted by what you say, I think mera janam safal ho gaya. Now coming back to leader, a leader must be having a whole lot of humane qualities. A leader may have 99 other qualities, but if he does not have the humane qualities, the human touch, he is not a leader. Any person who does not have the human touch, we can well have a robot doing the work. And what is the difference between leadership and leaders and managers? I was working on it yesterday and I showed it to him today morning while coming in the car. Leaders command men. Managers only supervise works. Leaders touch lives. Leaders inspire, leaders motivate. A manager would only find faults. I'll give you an example what happened. 50 overs World Cup. India lost to Australia in the finals, Cricket World Cup, one-day matches. India lost to Australia in the finals. Who came for the press conference? Mr. Rahul Dravid, the manager, came for the press conference. When India won the T20 World Cup, who came for the press conference? Rohit Sharma, the captain, came for the press conference. What does it mean? It means Rahul Dravid, as a leader of the team, took the responsibility of defeat on himself and wanted to answer the questions himself. And when it was victory, he gave it to the captain. That is leadership. Whenever there is a plan which does not work, it was my plan. When it works, my team did a tremendous job. That is the difference between a leader. Manager will always say, sir, I gave the job to him, he didn't do it. He is a bad team member. That is manager, because for him, only the bottom line works, profit loss statement. At the end of the month, how much profit, how much loss. And now on the profit loss statement, I must tell you something. Indian Army profit loss statement does not work at the end of the month. It works every moment, har shan. This moment, we are in profit because me and my buddy both are alive. Next moment, either my buddy or I get shot up. Because of the other person's mistake, we go in a loss. हमारा profit loss हर वक्त हमारे दिमाग में रहता है. Whereas in corporate, the profit loss and the best employee of the month comes in the end of the month. फोटो लगती है टी रूम में. हमारी फोटो जहां लगती है वो हम सबको मालूम है. If we don't do our job शिद्दत से. So leader is one who gives assurance, authority, inspiration, motivation to his men. Managers को घड़ी देखेगा कितने बजे आया कितने बजे गया. So that's a subtle difference, put it very, very bluntly.
So, open for questions from the audience. Anyone, any questions? Please raise your hands. There are people out here with the mics. They'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, somebody's there.
Somebody's out there.
Good afternoon, sir. A very warm welcome, first of all. You are such an inspiration to me. Literally, I used to follow you a little back from a year ago, maybe. So my only question to you is, in your entire journey of so many years, you must have failed sometime, or as a leader, you may have kind of like failure, and maybe like how you get back the courage again to fight back, to give reply to your enemy and something, like how to get back the courage. Like many times this happened to me, like I fear getting judged by others or something like this. So
Thank you.
I'll just add up to her point. So I had the same question. I'll just add one point to it. Like there's a saying, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. So that's easier said than done. How does the army, or how does one out there motivate each other or motivate themselves to ensure they come over that failure out there and go above it?
Thank you for asking the question, and thank you for the amplification. I will take it in two parts. When something drastically bad happens, like in my career, the worst incident which happened was when I was a corps commander and Pulwama happened. We lost 40 soldiers in one go. Now that is the worst which can happen, and I had taken over Chinar Corps only 4 days ago. That means I had come to Kashmir and become the corps commander on 10th of February 2019, and 14th February 2019 this happens. And not going into more details, that evening, myself and a young captain, Captain Sandeep Singh, who was my ADC, we were traveling for a meeting. After having looked after the casualties, the injured and other things, and this young boy, he was about 22, 23 years of age, this Captain Sandeep Singh, and he was also anxious. He has also been seeing on the TV, and he was moving around with me, actually meeting the injured people and other things. And when we were going for that meeting, the thing I said first, aim, mission, nischay. So when we were going for the meeting, so he asked me, we were sitting in the same vehicle, he said, sir, ab kya hoga? What will happen now? And pardon my language, I told him, we will get the bastards. And we got them within 100 hours. A failure does not mean everything is gone. Failure means reassess, limit the damage, reassess the situation, reassess your resources, reallocate your resources, and hit back. I come from a battalion which is more than 200 years old. 4th Battalion, the Rajputana Rifles. We all must take great pride in our history. That battalion, 6 times in the history out of 800 men, 6 times in the history has lost 200 men on the battlefield. But next day they hit back and won. So that is the family I come from. That is the family you come from. 5000 साल पुरानी सभ्यता के वंशज हैं हम. We are custodians and descendants of 5,000 years of rich cultural history. That is what we are. And whenever there is a failure, there is never a feeling that you should, what to do now. Gather yourself, you may take 5 seconds. I may take 5 seconds after 40 years. I might have taken 15 minutes when I was a 22 years old boy. With life, with experience, you gather this. And connected point is regret. Do you have a regret if things don't go right? Do you regret your decision? My point is, you do not ever regret your decision. Because if the decision was taken with all the inputs, with all your wisdom, with all that which you had with you, and then the decision didn't go right, don't blame yourself. Don't have self-doubts. It is just that today was not your day. No regret, no guilt, no comebacks. Hit back with more josh, with more authority, with more power, and probably more determination. Nothing succeeds like success. Give an example from Indian Army again. There is something called parachute regiment. You would have seen those parachute, special forces, maroon berets. A parachute regiment is which jumps from an aircraft and, go in behind the enemy lines and do the operations, and with a parachute. There are chances during training. In war, it definitely happens. During training also, at times the parachute malfunctions. Parachute does not open up. And some soldier or Jawan or officer would come down like a dead stone and will lose his life. What do the parachute regiment do when accident like this happens? Somebody would say, sir, check all the parachutes all over again, stop paradrops for next 3 months, do the internal inquiry. No, sir. Parachute regiment, next morning, 5 o'clock, go up in the air. Commanding officer leading, they all jump. To give a confidence to themselves that equipment which was with me is very good. Nothing wrong with it. Bad days happen. So never have a self-doubt. And I'm giving you live examples to tell you this is how your Indian Army works. These are ethos. This is how the culture. This is where our work-life balance is of different level. So I hope this answered your question. Never have self-doubt, never regret, never have a guilt, never say I'll come, nothing doing. Gather yourself, hit back. And that is what separates men from the boys, if I can use that phrase. And you all are adults now.
Okay, so we are a little short of time, so we'll open it up for more 2 questions for the audience. One sir is out here, if you can pass the mic to him, please.
Sir. Namaste, sir. Akash Chakradar from Barakpur. Here, sir. Sir, my question is, how may I can be the best of my own field?
Sorry, say again.
Yes, sir.
Can you repeat the question?
How may I can be the best of my own field?
Pace of your own?
Yes, my own field.
Thank you. We all must understand there is a Chinese thinker, Sun Tzu. And Sun Tzu's most famous quote is, if you know the enemy, and if you know yourself, you may not fear the outcome of 1,000 battles. If you do not know the enemy and only know yourself, or if you know the enemy and don't know yourself, for every victory you will face a defeat. So it's very important to first know your strengths, know your weaknesses. I won't call it weaknesses, know your limitations. Play to your strengths. Cover your vulnerabilities, cover your weaknesses. And the team effort works. The team effort works. The strength of a chain is in its weakest link. You know your physical limitations, you know your intellectual limitations. Don't try to overachieve. Within those, achieve what is best and what is sustainable, which you can sustain. Like in Kashmir, after 370, we had achieved peace. More important was to sustain the peace now, sustain the growth. And that is where challenge lies. Again, I'll give you an example from my own career, how the weakest person in the team can also be a very good, sort of support system for the team. I was good in academics, I was good in sports, but I was a weak swimmer or a non-swimmer. I didn't know how to swim. And in NDA, we have something called 55 meters swimming test, which is mandatory to pass. With great difficulty, with I don't know how much of practice, finally I could pass that test of 55 meter swimming somehow. Anyway, I came back to my unit, got commissioned, went to Sikkim, high altitude, 30 feet of snow, no question of swimming. Came to Udaipur, those days deserts, no swimming pool, no swimming. And then came the basketball competition. Inter-battalion basketball competition to be held in Jamnagar. And in army, officers are a definite part of any team, other than the contact games like kabaddi and wrestling. So the basketball team was sent to Jamnagar. I went with the team, we played, and there were good about 25-30 teams in a division. So we won that competition. So next was volleyball. So my unit from Udaipur sent the volleyball team and told me, you stay there only and you play volleyball also. Anyway, played volleyball also and we won that also. And third was swimming. And they sent the swimming team and told me there is one officer's 4 into 100 meter relay. You take part there only. And no one asked me whether I can swim 100 meters or not. So when the team came, our team was good. The Subhada Shanti Saran Saab, he walks up to me, he says, "Saab, koi parwah nahi hai, officer ka jo match hai, last mein hai. Hamari team bahut achhi hai, sir, hum वैसे ही जीत जाएंगे, आप बस चिंता मत करो, no problem." But I said, doesn't look good as an officer if I can't finish my event. I practiced for next 3-4 days. In my time, at times late in the night, at times early morning, come to swimming pool. But I could not complete that 100 meters thing. Anyway, Shanti Saran Saab kept telling me, "Sab, don't worry, hum jeet jayenge." Now comes the final day. The last event is 4 into 100 meters relay. And just before that event, when the second last event finished, Shanti Saran comes to me and says, "Sab, abhi na points ki sthiti kuch is prakar hai कि अगर तो हम ये जो अफसर का रिले है इसको कंप्लीट कर लेते हैं तो हमें 2 पॉइंट मिलेंगे, फिर हम फर्स्ट आ जाएंगे। अगर हम डिस्क्वालीफाई हो जाते हैं, जब फिनिश नहीं करते हैं तो हमें 0 पॉइंट्स मिलेंगे, फिर हम फिर हम सेकंड आएंगे। तो चैंपियन बनने के लिए साहब ये अफसर रिले को आपको कंप्लीट करना बहुत जरूरी है। नाउ लुक एट द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी। जिंदगी में कभी किया नहीं है। नाउ द होल इज्जत पलटन इज द मदर, पलटन की इज्जत अभी इज ऑन मी एंड आई हैव नेवर डन दिस बिफोर। Anyway, I was the last one to jump in and the whole stadium was full. It was final day. After that was the prize distribution and I was there for good about 4-5 minutes in the pool. Everyone is clapping for me. And finally I could somehow finish that 100 meters. And guess what? In the evening when we had the celebratory dinner, because we were champions now, we call it Bara Khana in the army. There were people who had broken the records, the people who had won the gold medals, the people who had won the silver medals. But who was being congratulated the most? I was being congratulated the most कि सर आपके कारण चैंपियन बन गए. So your pace is dependent on your capabilities. Set your pace as per your capability. I didn't know how to swim, but I set my pace. I didn't want to be the first. I wanted to finish it. And that in turn gave the competition championship to my team. So I only hope I answered that, because setting the pace is very important. Know your limitations.
Hello. Yeah. Sir, this is Somnath Chakraborty from Department of Business Administration of NIT. So the crisis management should be one of the biggest quality of a leader. So if you just say a few lines, so this we teach to our management students very often. So
Okay,
if
thank
you tell some example, few lines. Thank you.
Crisis management is a very live subject in the army. It's a very live subject in the student life. It's a very live subject in the corporate world. For a corporate world, crisis management is their product is not doing well. Suddenly, the competitor's product is doing better. Or for you, it is you haven't got adequate percentage in a particular exam. And now you feel you may not be able to pass with that percentage, where you get into a better placement or better future studies institute. In the army, it is either I'm dead or I'm alive. So for us, managing crisis is Jindagi Maut ka sawal hai, literally. So we know exactly how to do it. Now I will not give examples because I think we'll take time. In army, what we do is, there is a situation, there is a damage which has happened, there is an injury, or there is a near injury or near death type of a wound. We first of all, first is limit the damage. You know, it's like a manual. First is limit the damage. Wherever crisis, whatever damage has happened, limit the damage. That means give a first aid, tie a bandage, let there be no more blood loss. If he's fractured his arm, he has fractured his arm. Let the loss of blood not lead to death. So first is limit the damage. You did not do well in chemistry, limit the damage. Don't let it affect your exam tomorrow, physics. So whatever happened cannot be undone. First is limit the damage. Second is, to make sure the damage is addressed. In our case, if there's a casualty, if there's an injury, if there's a person who is almost dying, we pull him out, put him in the ambulance, send him to the hospital so that he can be saved. So, sort of, address the damage. Similarly, in your case, in corporate world, whatever has caused the damage, why did you fail in chemistry? Did you study not? Did you not study well? Did you misread the syllabus? Or whatever. Now you address that issue so that next exam, you don't do the same thing. Third is reassess the situation. Because this is important from the military man's point of view. If I do not reassess, the enemy or the terrorist might cause more damage. We might lose more lives. So I have to reassess, then I have to reallocate the resources. I have to reallocate the resources so that in your case you have to reallocate the time. I think no problem. In your case, as a student, you have to reallocate the time, more time for chemistry. And then, most important point in the army is we must have reserves, which we can reallocate. For the corporate world, the reserves means finances. For a student, reserves means you had kept 2 hours for your, sports or games or whatever. Now that reserve time.
And looking forward to speaking with you and discussing further in future.
Thank you. Yeah, please. Okay, we can.
सर आप कोशिश करिए सर मैंने एक चीज देखा है
Okay, one question we'll take and we'll finish.
सर मेरा एक ही सवाल है, बहुत ही शॉर्ट है. आप चाहे कितनी भी कोशिश कर लिए, आप मैक्सिमम एक चीज के लिए प्रिपरेशन ले सकते हैं, 2 चीज के लिए प्रिपरेशन ले सकते पहले से, पर आप सब चीज के लिए प्रिपरेशन नहीं ले सकते. तो आर्मी में कैसे एक पर्सन को ट्रेन किया जाता है कि वो मूवमेंट में सिचुएशन को देख के अपने डिसीजन को ले सके, या फिर अगर उसे ऐसा सिचुएशन दिखाई देता है कि वो नहीं होगा, उसका कोई प्रिपरेशन नहीं है, तो उसका डिसीजन को चेंज करके इमीडिएट एक्शन ले सके। ये आर्मी कैसे ट्रेन किया जाता है लोगों को?
Okay, thank you. Let me tell you, you are sitting in a training institution. You are being trained for the future. Leaders are neither born, they are not trained. Leaders emerge. You know, I am saying this because if the leaders were born, today morning Mr. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi's name was taken. His son would have been a leader too. If leaders could be trained, you know, Duryodhan would have been a great leader. He was trained by Dronacharya. But who became a great soldier, great warrior? Karan. Danveer Karan. He was not trained. He was born, but he was not given the name of his mother. But he rose to become a great leader, great warrior, great Danveer Karan. The best character in the whole of Mahabharata. So, training is important, but leaders emerge. I'll give you a small example. A young boy of 17 years, 18 years of age on a two-wheeler has been hit. He is bleeding. He is lying on the road. There are 100 people standing around him. Those 100 people are of varying age group of 20 years to 80 years. They are of varying economic background. They are of varying, religious background. They are of varying educational background. Someone may be just 10th, some other chap may be PhD. But what happens? Out of this group of 100 people of all types of qualifications, a young girl of 18 years of age steps forward, picks up this injured man, puts him in an auto or puts him on a scooty and takes him to the hospital. This young girl of 17 years has emerged as a leader from that group of 100 people. She was neither born to a leader, she was neither trained to be a leader, she emerged from a situation. Leaders emerge from situation. Danveer Karan emerged from his situation. So people emerge. Mahatma Gandhi emerged from a situation of having been thrown out of a railway coach. Situation will come, opportunity will come. Grab that opportunity. It might come to you at 20 years, it might come to you at 60 years. So opportunity will come always. Always it will come. So training is not important. In army we say jigra. Jigra jara jaruri hai. Thank you.